In a world where content is limitless, two dudes forge an unbreakable bond to become a part of something larger than themselves by creating a podcast unlike nothing the world has ever heard. Time is running out, and all hope will soon be lost. Their content could hold the key to fight against the darkness. No matter how many podcasts the people have listened to, they haven't heard us. Not us united. The episode everyone's been waiting for.
Yeah. I've been waiting for it. You've been waiting for it. Nate's been waiting for it.
Our boy Nate.
Our boy Nate.
Yeah, we've been waiting for this episode so much that we decided to do the Suicide Squad, I believe, 2 days ago.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. It was in such anticipation to getting a beautiful text from Michael. It was like, so Suicide Squad this week?
Yeah, like on like Sunday.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, so like, is that what we're doing? It's like, yep, that's what we're doing. I love it.
Well, I got back. I went to a music festival.
You did?
This past weekend. Super cool. Very fun.
Very cool.
Got to listen to all the music and camping and fun stuff. And so like I was so focused on that, I came home and I'm like, wait a second.
Wait.
We're gonna record this podcast in like 2 days. What are we gonna do it on? Suicide Squad? All right, I'm watching it tonight.
Yeah. Well, and you were concerned at first because you're like, all right, I'm gonna have to get to the theater, and I was like, hey, guess what? HBO Max is still.
Yes, I totally blanked that this movie was gonna be on HBO Max, and I was like, oh man, I gotta do this now because then I gotta do this on Monday night and then this on Tuesday night, and I was like, I can't fit it in. Yep. And then it's like you're like. You know, you have HBO, right? I'm like, oh, my dude.
Yep, I got you. Don't worry.
This was a good this was a movie I would watch on at home.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely scenes to this film that are like, oh, that would have looked great in the theater, but we'll have to get into this. But there was a quote that James Gunn had in regards to directing this film and how well it will do financially and whatnot. And he said, movies. I don't have the direct quote, but it was essentially like movies don't get remembered from being on the big screen. They get remembered for being on your TV.
Yeah.
He's like, I never watched Jaws in theaters, but Jaws is still one of my favorite movies of all time. And
that's fair. That's really good, actually.
It was a cool quote. Maybe he was just trying to save face of like, hey, still watch my movie in whatever way you can, you know, or whatever. But still, I was like, he's not wrong. Like, I have a DVD collection that would totally buy into exactly what he said. Yeah. Like, these movies aren't the best because of. Now, I may have started with a great theater memory, which led to having to own this so that I could watch it at home for sure. But
I feel like that quote is so true because I do think the theater is the best way to view a movie,
optimal, ideal way to see
it. But like when I fall in love with movies, it's not typically in the theater. It's not typically like I walk out of theater and have a mind explosion. That happens like maybe a few times a year where it's like that movie blew me away. But at home, I'm like I watch a movie and that happens there, but like more
right
because there's just more movies to watch, I guess. But like,
I think it's more carefully consumed in the home as well. Like I feel like. In the theater, I just kind of get sucked in, and I'm like, whoa, so much stuff. And then, like, I actually remember, like, the quotes and, like, dig deep when I watch it that second, third, fourth time. When I'm like, it's just in the comfort of my home. There's no distractions. It's this. But I'm still a diehard, like, love to see movies in theaters.
Oh, same.
But this was one that I was like, there's probably going to be some big scale stuff, but it's a pretty intimate movie. That could probably be watched on a smaller screen, and it wouldn't like ruin your first watch, I don't think. So,
no, I'm also a big proponent of like trying to get it to theater. That's why I was so like, oh, I got to get to a theater because in my mind, like it's a new movie, I have to go to the theater. But it was convenient to be like, I don't have to go anywhere. Yeah, I don't have the time this week, and I have the time to watch it at home and sit home and do it. So, it worked. Yes. I enjoyed it. I think it would have been. I don't think my enjoyment of it would have differed based on my where I viewed it at.
Right. The only thing that I think could have amplified this was if we had a theater completely to ourselves, like we've had in the past, and we watched this movie, because it's already a funny, not serious, serious movie.
We would have had a fun time.
Where we would have had a fun time. Yeah. Where it's like, what if the theater was ours and we could literally like commentary while we were watching?
Yeah.
That
this would. Oh, you just would have heard me say, "I love King Shark," literally with all my heart.
King Shark. What's his like? God name?
Awe. Oh, not Awe.
Nawe. What was it? Not Yahweh,
yeah.
but
it was something like Allah.
Nawe.
Allaha, or like Aliyah.
Sure.
Hold on. Something. Is it in his credits as King Shark?
I think Sylvester Stallone it's just King Shark. Unfortunately,
it's something with an A. King. Looking it up. This is hot tea.
Hot tea. That's right.
Real name. King Shark. Real name. Nanaue. Nanaue. That doesn't sound right.
Sure. That sounds about what I thought they said something like Nanye or something.
Oh, maybe I was hearing the A more in those sounds, I guess. But yeah, Nae.
What a cute.
I would die for that, man.
It's funny, like
shark thing.
So James Gunn directed this. We're clearly going to talk about it because the whole reason he's even in this is because Marvel was like, "You're done, so go work somewhere else," and then they revoked what they did to him.
Oh, wow. I totally forgot. That's right. Yeah.
They like fired him because they're like, "Hey, we looked up your tweets like 20 years ago. You're sick, dude." Yeah. And then he's like, "I'm sorry." And he's like, "And I've said sorry before." And they're like, "Not sorry enough." And they fired him. And then like 6 months later, they're like, "Actually, you're kind of the reason like any of the space stuff works in the MCU. So can you come back?" Yeah. And like, anyway, so he made the first two Guardians, got fired. That's why the third one never came out as early as it did. I don't know if it would have come out before Endgame.
I don't think so.
I think it still would have been like right on the cusp of Endgame, like right after. It would have been like one of the first. Yeah. Probably where like Black Widow was. And then DC was like, "Well, you guess who's so desperate that we just don't even care how damaged goods you are? Come on over." Yeah. And then they're like, "Pick any story you want.
Do whatever you want to do."
They're just like, "You want Superman? We'll give you Superman." He's like,
"You want to do a movie that we really did like a year ago after we hired you?" Yeah. Yeah.
And James Gunn's like, "Well, I want family," because he always loves family. I mean, he puts Vin Diesel in his movies. That's how much family he wants. Amen. But he wants really messed up family. So what if Guardians could say like the F word and shoot people's faces off? This is like James Gunn's like perfect playground for him to play in. It's like, here's what I do best, but also I don't get to like worry about what is actually happening on screen.
No restraints.
This is amazing. Yeah. So this film as a whole is just crazy because it is very much like I don't know. It was hard to watch this and not be like, this is the biggest middle finger to Marvel I've ever seen.
Oh, really?
In a movie. Like, not that it was purposeful. I think he just did the movie. But, like, he did everything that was good in the MCU that he did, and then he did it without any restrictions. Yeah. And so the whole movie just felt like it was just a middle finger to be like, look what you, like, fired. Yeah. You know? Like, look. Granted, he was rehired probably during this or, like, around the time that he was, like... But the idea was conceived in the midst of I'm fired, so it was kind of this rebel. Like,
it does feel like that, and also like it feels like complete control for him. As coming from a studio with like Zack Snyder and with the previous Suicide Squad with David Ayer, it's like they felt like, okay, we kind of learned, and you can do whatever you want and say what you want about Wonder Woman 84. Feels like the director could do whatever they want. Yeah, and so it feels like Warner Brothers is now allowing the directors for DC to just be like, you know what? Look, the universe doesn't really make any sense. We just do whatever you want in the movie, and we can maybe loosely tie everything together if we wanted to.
The other thing that I noticed as well is how the first Suicide Squad, I'm not like the biggest hater of that movie. Okay. I don't think it's great, but one of the things that was drastically different in this one was that even though it's incredibly gory, incredibly like violent, whatever. The lighting of this Suicide Squad, like, it was shot more in the daytime,
yeah,
which was different, and everyone just wasn't like smeared in dirt.
Yeah.
Whereas in the first Suicide Squad, it was like
dark.
Everyone just had like, it was just like they got smeared in like makeup right before shooting.
Yeah.
It was weird. It's like, we want you to sweat, and then we're gonna put makeup on you, and then we're gonna throw dirt at you.
Yeah.
And you're just the dirtiest, filthiest team we could find. And it was like, I don't know, like even like Harley Quinn, like the whole time, just everything was just ripped apart, and just like, it just like, they have a change of clothes, like, or there's got to be something, you know. And this one was like, yes, they're in prison, yes, they're damaged goods, but everyone was still like clean. It was bright. It just felt very
more camaraderie,
Zack Snyder verse.
Yeah,
like
definitely. It felt like the first Suicide Squad felt like a Guardians ripoff, which is strange that the Suicide Squad does not feel like a Guardians ripoff.
Sure.
And it's even done by the same guy that did Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
Or like, there's like the music cues. There's like the team.
I would argue the way the like story plays out, there are similar. The things that work in Guardians are the things that work in this Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Oh, but I agree with you that it's
Fair.
not like a clear knockoff of like 100%. It's not like the same script that he.
Yeah, and then they got like the music. They're like being like, "Oh, we're dropping music because Guardians of the Galaxy had music, and everyone likes the music." And
right.
So it's like, it's interesting to see that, and it's even done by the same guy. Where it's like, yeah, there's like the skeleton of it, but like it's probably what he wanted to do with Guardians, but an R-rated movie. And this movie does not hold back. Like, it looks like exactly what he wanted to be. And like, this Chef's movie, no spoilers, but like, this movie just kind of flows and works, and there's team camaraderie, and I like everyone in it, and I like the direction that, like, I don't know what's really going to happen, because there's so much of these characters that are just like, that he can do whatever he wants with these characters. It's great.
The only DCU movie that I own is Man of Steel, which is surprising because I hate Superman. The Suicide Squad will be a movie that I own.
Same.
4K, baby. Get that digital copy, throw it on my phone. Yeah. It's happening.
And I
gotta get that combo pack.
I very much enjoy this movie, almost to the point where I might love it. Just like,
you don't have to feel bad.
I just don't.
The DC fans can feel good every now and then.
Oh, and I would include myself among them, because you're like, earlier today, you're like, it's probably like the best, like, or you were like, you don't need to know anything about the other DC movies, which you don't. Correct. But you added then because they're all trash. And I'm like, that is not true. I think Man of Steel is really good.
The first half of Man of Steel is very good.
I don't add the end fight is fine, but then the beginning of BVS is great with the aftermath of Man of Steel. Really good. I think
it just ends poorly.
It ends very poorly, and that's what I feel like DC has a very bad
it has
tendency
one act
to do.
Of the film that just always sucks.
Yeah, and that's hard because that's the one you leave out of it. Because I absolutely love Wonder Woman. It has a really bad third act with
the
Ares.
world building in the first 2/3 of all of their films is pretty solid, and then it just
even like Suicide Squad, it's like it's okay, but then the last fight is just laser beam in the sky. It looks awful, and like it's decent enough, but.
The only thing I remember from... So I don't mind the Suicide Squad. I really loved Deadshot. I really loved...
I like Jai Courtney, actually, as Captain Boomerang.
Oh, Captain Boomerang. Yeah. Dope. We need to talk about him here in a second. Yeah, there was a couple good characters. Jared Leto's Joker is always controversial.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Here we go.
And I was fine...
Yeah,
I think the thing that the original Suicide Squad suffered from was it spent too much time doing this weird story of Joker, while the Suicide Squad just needed to do the Suicide Squad stuff. Yeah, and this one was like, no side plots. Yeah, we're gonna show you some like flashbacks or whatever, maybe some time jumps here and there for just fun. It's the mission. Everything takes place in like 12 hours. Yeah, it's just bada bing, bada boom. Yeah. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, the
Joker side plot just felt like we got Joker, so we got to do stuff with Joker, and it's like, if you didn't have that, you could have done so much more with that movie.
It was too much to throw in to the original Suicide Squad. If you're gonna have Joker, you just gotta have him be the villain.
Yep.
Or like play a more major role than just be like a flashback with Harley Quinn,
Yeah.
or like and then break her out at the end. Like
Yeah.
that was it. That just felt like don't tease with that, or
Right.
I don't know. It just felt like it was a mess.
Right.
And like, have you heard of the Ayer cut? Now that the Snyder cut's out,
I mean, yeah, everyone's doing it now. I mean,
well, he says there's a lot on the cutting room floor.
Oh,
David
really?
Ayer, the director, like much like the Zack Snyder, like putting.
well, Jason Momoa's already come out and said that he wants the Villeneuve cut of Dune. He said it's 4 to 6 hours long.
Let's go.
It's like it's happening. Just every person's like, yeah, I want. It's
Well,
like
every movie does
every
that.
movie
Every
has
movie does
cutting
that.
Yeah. floor stuff. Like they have to probably cut a bunch.
Just because, I mean, not just because of time's sake, but
Yeah.
just because it just doesn't work.
But now
sometimes.
it's become like a hype thing where people have now digested a 4-hour movie after 3 years of being a myth.
Yeah.
That people are like, oh, you can actually do this now.
Mhm.
So do you want to?
Yeah.
And it's like these used to be director's cut, and you'd release them like 10 years later and be like, hey, check this out. Here's some extra footage.
Yeah.
Now it's like people are like, no. Original runtime, make it 6 hours. We'll sit.
Yeah.
It's like, guys, this has never been okay. But I
now
love
it
it.
is. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I would see a 6-hour Dune cut in the theaters. Give me day one tickets.
Amen. I mean, maybe it's the full movie. Maybe they filmed both parts, and
Oh, you think
that's
so?
his actual cut. But
Maybe.
they've made it clear that it's not going to be.
Mhm.
So, I don't know. We'll see. But, yeah, what killed me with the joke, I'll be done talking about the original Suicide Squad.
Yeah, we're gonna go back to it. I guess.
But, well, it's true. Was just having tattooed on your forehead damaged,
yeah.
and then the smiley face on your hand. It was just like, or you can just smile, because the Joker's smile is what makes the Joker's, smile scary.
Yeah, I
So-
think it just was. I don't
Hey,
hate
he was an
Jared Leto like a
original
lot of people
gangster.
do.
Gotta give him credit.
Yeah, I think Jared Leto is fine.
He's an amazing actor, and that was still like a crazy performance.
Yeah,
I
it
just
was
think the
I
characters-
don't think it was a bad performance, and a lot of people hate him in the new Justice League Snyder cut.
Oh my gosh!
I thought
no.
he was like a really
He had
good.
one of the best lines in the
Yeah.
movie. I'm not gonna say it, but he had one of the best lines in the Snyder cut, dude. I loved it.
But I don't think it's not obviously not as good as Ledger or Joaquin Phoenix, but it's just a fine Joker.
Yeah.
It's probably my least favorite of all the Jokers, but it's just everything around it just didn't seem right. So
Yeah, it's weird. Okay.
what would you rate original Suicide Squad 2016?
Original Suicide Squad, one view back in 2016. I would give it a
Same.
4.75.
I'm giving it like a 3.5.
Wow, I'm surprised that I'm actually higher.
And I am much more of a DC fan because I like Man of Steel. I like most of Batman v Superman. I like
Yeah.
love Wonder Woman, love Shazam,
Yeah.
really like Aquaman.
Yeah, Aquaman
I
was
don't
solid.
like the original Justice League.
4
but-
points of my 4.75 are just Will Smith.
Yeah, well, that's fair. That's
So,
totally fair.
He was dope.
Yeah,
And it sounds like they could have gotten him, but he said no
Mm-hmm.
for this Suicide Squad. I think they realized that he was the best part of that
Yeah.
movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so they struck, but they didn't get him. And so they
Yeah.
thought about recasting Idris Elba as
That's
him.
Deadshot.
And then they were like, never mind.
Let's just make
Let's
it
do
open.
a different character.
Yeah.
Because I think James Gunn also just likes, give me the bottom of the barrel characters,
Yeah.
and I'm going to make a dope movie.
But also, like, I like the idea of it still being kind of a sequel, but not really.
Right.
I enjoy that there's enough of a
There's
continual
no two,
thread.
but there is a the.
Yeah. I like that there's enough of a continual thread to be like, yeah, this exists, and it's not a really reboot, but
you
it's
know
like
who
a,
you need to know,
yeah.
you know.
I don't know. What do you want to say non-spoilery?
I will say this one, because the other one's just so like literally darkly lit
Mm-hmm.
and stuff, like some of the stuff they deal with is more supernatural
Yeah.
as the original one, if I remember.
yeah.
There's like the sorceress
Yeah,
lady,
the
and it's like kind of
Enchantress.
like CGI stuff, you know? Like,
Yeah,
don't
this
get me wrong, this has a lot of CGI
But it
in
looks
it too.
good, and obviously 5 years more, but
This feels more like, I don't know.
this
like,
is fun.
This is like if Deadpool just had like a team ensemble movie.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be the same amount of violence, and it's not afraid to show stuff. Yeah. It's kind of Tarantino-esque in like some of its shoot 'em up scenes, but
the team works really well together.
Yeah, and I also feel like James Gunn like really like held back on being as funny as possible. Like he struck when it struck.
Yeah.
But I felt like it wasn't overall just a straight up comedy.
It's not. I would label it minor comedy. It's not as comedy-esque as Guardians would be.
Correct.
But it is a fun movie, and the feel of it is fun, and not everyone's cracking jokes every like 20 seconds, which is like a nice breath of fresh air from like a Marvel movie for me.
So when they do, it is kind of like it either delivers or it doesn't, because it is very like
it felt like with characters having interactions that were real, and they were like funny in situations, and it made sense, but also they're like kind of dumb and kind of like this is like it's something they would say, and it's not like a joke that has to hit because a joke needs to hit because Rocky Raccoon needs to say something funny because he hasn't talked in a while.
The other thing I will say about this film, without being spoiler, is there isn't a character in this movie that I don't like.
Yeah, I like every character.
I was very surprised. Like, that's the one thing that I feel like by casting James Gunn, I think they did it right. They're like, hey, you made people like a tree and a talking raccoon in Guardians of the Galaxy. You'd be perfect to make people like these characters that probably no one knows exists. I didn't know of Bloodsport. And now Bloodsport's like maybe a top 5er for me.
Yeah, really.
On the DC, I'm like, I gotta check out this Bloodsport guy. This guy's nuts.
Yeah.
I gotta check him out. Idris Elba killed it.
Yeah.
Peacemaker, what a joke. Like, I gotta...
Yeah, all these characters were jokes before.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I knew of them like, this is a joke. This is
Polka
a joke.
Dot Man.
Yeah.
I would get a poster of Polka Dot Man.
Do you remember...
And put it on my wall.
Do you remember the Lego Batman movie? Where they were like naming random people at the very beginning. Polka Dot Man was name dropped.
Well, there's like Calendar Man has a cameo in this.
Oh yeah,
he's a villain of Batman.
Yeah, with Sean Gunn.
Yeah, it was James Gunn's brother.
Calendar Man's with the Arkham games. He had a nice resurgence.
True, but like when you're thinking of like who's Batman's villains, you can name 10
Calendar Man
before
Kite
Calendar
Man.
Yeah, exactly. Ratcatcher 2.
Yeah, and they just own it. Ratcatcher 2.
Yeah, like King Shark. I mean, everyone I liked. And then there's even these like random ones like TDK.
Yeah.
What an amazing power. I love that guy.
I
Like,
really liked TDK. I really liked Javelin.
Javelin.
Yeah.
Yeah. All these guys.
Everyone was great.
I love them.
It's so good.
Yes. Agreed.
I would rate this movie like an 8.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I really liked it.
See, you were so calm getting ready to talk about this podcast that I really thought you were going to be pretty lukewarm on it.
No, this is the best movie I've seen since we started this podcast. Like, new movie.
Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. You've rated everything like a 7 or lower. I'm sitting here going like, wait. You've seen no better movies this year? And it's like, that's not true.
Not
new movies.
Not new movies. Like, of new movies, 2021 movies that we've seen since we started the podcast. This is the best movie we've seen.
Better than Werewolves Within. That surprises me.
Yeah, sorry. I will watch Werewolves Within before this movie, but
we got to get... We're going to do a double date and we're going to watch Werewolves Within.
Amen.
I think it's got to happen.
And our dates will not enjoy it.
They're going to be like, let's go upstairs and like actually do something fun while these guys just laugh at this stupid movie. Perfect. Yeah, I think I'm with you. I want to watch it again because I watched it really late when it came out, Friday night. Because I at first was like, you know what I'm going to do Friday night? I'm going to game it up with my boy Zavala. And I texted you and you're like, dude, I'd love to, but I'm at this like music festival that sounded very eerily similar to Midsommar.
Yeah, you texted me and I'm like, I'm in a field in the middle of nowhere that
it's a really great vibe. And I'm like, I bet it is. It sounds just like Midsommar. Good luck, my guy.
Yeah, I told him I was in a field in the middle. I didn't know where I was because I drove with somebody else. And I was in a field where I don't know Iowa, and there's a bunch of people camping, and we're gonna go to this music festival. And you're like, cool. If they start wearing flowers around their head, let me know. And as soon as I saw that text from you, like a few girls like walked by with flowers on their head, and I'm like, oh my god,
Nick.
It's happening.
Save me.
It's like you're like, hey, don't get sacrificed. I'm like, all right. I was like, there's either this weekend's gonna be I'm gonna get sacrificed, or I'm gonna become the flower queen.
The flower queen,
and
there's only two ways out.
There's only two ways out.
I love it.
So I'm here now, and I'm wearing flowers, and so
yes.
that was fun. So you ended up watching
But I realized late. I was like, oh wait, Suicide Squad came out tonight. I could totally watch that. And so it was like 8:30. And so I pull it up and I'm like, sweet. And I watched it in like increments of like 20 minutes. And then I was like walking around the house and I did something, and then I watched it, and then I finally was like, I'm just gonna finish this thing. And so I just sat down and watched it. I do think the phone screen versus watching it on like a TV would have.
You watched it on your phone?
I watched it all on my phone.
What were you doing?
Just laying in bed.
Just
decided I'm just gonna watch it.
That's fair.
Like there, instead of like come down here and watch it.
Did you have headphones or anything, or just?
Yep, just my AirPods.
Huh.
It was immersive, but I think I think I would enjoy it. I think I'm gonna enjoy it a lot more the second
amazing.
time.
I wouldn't have thought you would have watched it on like a phone or something. You're just chilling in bed.
Crazy.
You're like, it's closest to you.
I'm crazy, yeah. Because HBO unfortunately doesn't work on smart televisions, so you have to get it on like an Apple TV or like a device. And so I'd have to get it on my PlayStation or something like that. So I do have it technically on my PlayStation. I don't know why I didn't come down here and watch it, if I'm being honest. I don't know.
You're in your bed.
I was already watching. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna lay here and watch it. So I do feel like the drowsiness of just being like in a dark room in my bed kind of made me like doze off, and I probably didn't appreciate some of the things as much. But I know I loved what I loved, that I would confidently also give this an 8. But I think if I watched it again, I think I'd probably rate it higher.
Yeah, I could maybe confidently give this like an 8.5. But
yeah, it was wild.
Maybe after we talk about it, I'll bump it up, but
we'll see. We'll get hype. But there's your spoiler-free. I think we did pretty good. No spoilers, right?
Well, no, we didn't.
We talked about the characters in this movie, but we didn't share like
anything that happens.
Okay. Well, we're going to now.
We're going to do spoilers for The Suicide Squad coming up now. Best, because we're going to jump right into it. So just hold on to your butts.
Yep. Okay. Here we go.
Ready.
All right. Half the characters that we just mentioned that we really like dies within like 9 minutes of this movie. I think at like 9.5 or 9 some minutes, Pete Davidson's Blackguard's like, yo what's up? And his face gets completely blown off. And you're like, what?
That was amazing to me. Like, I thought you were going to get a lot of deaths, but I didn't know we were going to get them that quickly. And with like that, like Nathan Fillion dies.
Yeah.
And like,
I was worried about Nathan Fillion because he does these cameos, but he never does like a big hero role. So I from the start knew something was going to happen to him because he just hasn't done like, he's perfect. He literally has the superhero like face and everything. Like he could be a Superman if you just CGI'd everything like on him. You know, like he's a dude that just like looks just the part of like Clark Kent or whatever.
He's a good guy.
He'd be great as, this is the one thing my dream would be that he would play Nathan Drake from the Uncharted series.
Oh, but he's way too old now.
Yeah.
He could be.
He did make a fan video where he like made like like, I don't know what you would call it. It was like technically
unlicensed, whatever.
Yeah. He made like a short film about it. But anyway, TDK, love the guy, the detachable kid. What's your power? His arms pop off, and they can just like, go slap people.
Not even like anything good. It was just like very limply slapping. I was like, that was such a fun idea. That was like just so like, oh yeah, he's gonna like hit him really hard instead. But it was just like slap, 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 slap.
So great. I just love the Suicide Squad because it is the perfect excuse to have really good characters, but also just stupid bottom of the barrel. Like, here's this weasel. What's he done? Just murdered a bunch of children.
Yeah.
That's his thing.
Yeah.
You're just like, wait,
he may
what?
have agreed to do this. I don't really know.
I don't know.
So
he just screams. Like, he's just this weasel man.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what?
It's so cool to have like these bottom of the barrel characters that are just like not even like supposed to be heroic. They're just like people that are like, hey, look, I'm here. I'm going to just try and not die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get 5 years off of my 50-year sentence. Yeah. It's like, does that feel like it's worth it? You know, like. Then you have Michael Rooker, who literally starts this movie off. You're like, this guy's significant.
Oh, yeah.
literally is like sees these people get killed in the opening
away.
scene, just runs away and dies because his head explodes. Because if you don't obey in this movie, your bomb just blows up. So
yeah. Speaking of the bombs in the movie, I like the bomb setup much more than the previous movie.
Well, they didn't hold us that much. It was like, you remember the drill. Bombs in the head, bada bing, bada boom.
Do you think that was helped because of the first movie?
100%.
Okay.
Like I think they did show like respects in regards to this is still the Suicide Squad. Amanda Waller, same actress. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Like they're still doing enough connective tissue that they're like same drill, same people. It's just not going to be the exact same cast.
Yeah.
And so in that regard, I felt like we didn't have to have as much setup.
But I like having it more, like, not like the digital, whatever.
Oh, what was different?
It was like how on like your phone, and it was like he had like on your wristband. Right. But this felt like more like it was very government.
Yeah.
Funded, where it's just kind of like these people don't look in the backgrounds of like does someone have a rat phobia, or does someone know how to swim like Weasel, or like it just felt like very like the things that would go through the cracks is not crystal clear like the first one where it's like. Everyone's the army and we're like
that's
perfect
true.
And it's like it's your government job and you're like kind of like I don't need to research someone. Why would someone have a rat phobia? Like, why would I look into that?
I also like just how desperate they are. I mean, just like we don't even know anything about Michael Rooker. I think it's Savant or what?
Yeah, Savant sounds right.
And it's just like Savant. Sorry. He just throws a rubber ball and like it hits where it's supposed to, and people are like, "Oh, this guy's legit." And it's like, I don't know what he does.
Yeah,
I have no idea. Like, you're the front lines, pal. It's like, what does he do? Like, they didn't give us like a full. Here's who this guy is. Blah blah blah. They do that with the second team when they finally tell us who the real Suicide Squad is, because this whole diversion team.
Yeah, it was amazing. I loved this team just getting wiped. Yeah, it was so good.
It was very satisfying. I remember just like laughing audibly, like in bed, and Kate was luckily still awake, and I was like, haha. She's like, what? And I'm like, Nathan Fillion just died, and it's like 5 minutes into this movie. She's like, what? And I was like, yeah, I guess he didn't make it very long.
Freaking wild.
This is crazy.
I that beginning was so good.
I agree.
I love that they were just like, half the team gone.
Yeah. And what's crazy is there was enough beats to make characters understandable that I can't even recall if there was any in the original Suicide Squad that make me go, oh, there's some depth for your character.
Yeah. Like Lily Javelin gets like 10 words or something.
Yeah.
And I already care about him more than I did out anyone.
Well, yeah, Squad. But I mean like with like Bloodsport getting like a quick snippet with his daughter.
Yeah.
Who's like, he's really just upset with her because she got caught stealing, not that she is stealing and stuff like that, and like, oh, that's cool, and that ties into this, and then that'll tie into that. There were just times where you could tell, like, here's what the original did, and here's why having a different director named James Gunn makes a difference. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, I've never like had like a clear comparison to literally get to take two movies and be like, here's what one director can actually change.
Yeah, that's amazing to do a side by side.
Do that.
Like, to be like, it's such a unique idea to be like, the same movie pretty much, idea-wise, is made within 5 years of each other.
Yeah. And it just hit better. Now, granted, there's things to consider like, well, you're always going to make a better second film if you know the mistakes of the first one and stuff like that. And did this David Ayer not actually get his cut or whatever, you know, like there's obviously these other issues, so I don't think it's a knock at him.
No,
but I just think it's an encouragement to Gunn, and just that he's like, I'm gonna make you care about this guy who literally gets mad at his daughter not because she's a criminal, but because she just got caught,
and he's just yelling.
It's like,
at
this guy's a piece of crap.
But also,
and I'm gonna love him by the end of this movie.
Yeah, and like, but then it takes like that turn of being like, Amanda Waller is really the villain of
she
the
is
movie,
the villain, yeah.
Because she's like literally like,
even the villain is not really the villain. You feel bad for the main villain at the end of the movie,
because you're like, exactly. And like this, like Starro, it's like I wish I was just happy looking at the stars. I'm like, oh, okay, man.
Yeah, he's just floating, looking at the stars, and we just grew him and turned him into a mind control device.
And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, bud.
Classic. This very like, this is exactly what America would do.
Yeah, I'm like, dang it.
Yeah. but it's like subtle. It's not just like, it's not throwing it in your face of like, look how shitty like people are, you know, but like at the same time it is like, here's how shitty people can be, you know, like. So it's weird that it has so much heart and family while also being such a cynical movie.
Yeah, it's just James Gunn. It's just James Gunn. It's weird, it's cynical, but also like fun hopeful. And hopeful, and like has like a real heart to it. I loved Ratcatcher.
Yep.
I thought Ratcatcher, Polka Dot Man.
Oh, Polka Dot Man.
And I really liked Rick Flag in this.
Rick Flag was good.
And I'm like, he was awful in the first one. I was like, I didn't care for him all, but
he was the guinea pig.
He was like just so like a character here. You just felt like he was.
And he had one of the best lines in the movie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think, I'm sorry we're jumping all around here, but you're listening to spoilers. His fight with Peacemaker.
Oh, so good.
When he goes, Peacemaker, what a joke.
Yeah.
And then dies. You're just like, oh shit, dude. Like, if there's one line you can say to this guy that would actually penetrate, it's that one. Because this guy is batshit crazy.
Were there any deaths that shocked you? Because I was shocked by Rick Flag's death. And Jai Courtney's of Captain Boomerang. Those are the two I was like, whoa, they're not so those.
Captain Boomerang definitely surprised me at the beginning because I was like, oh, you got him back. No way you're killing him.
Yeah.
Honestly, Polka Dot Man, because you kept him for so long and then you even gave him like redemption to be the
split second where it's like, I'm a superhero, I'm like, oh, he's done. But like before that,
I'm a freaking superhero, and dies. You're like, no way. And I loved him, dude. He was so good.
He's so good. Just like his power set's really cool.
And just his like breakdancing in the
his
bars. So I was just like, that guy. I just feel like he needs a win. Because every character he plays is such a just like disturbed individual, and he's still a disturbed individual in this. But he gets like
his hope.
There's even one where he like, when what's his name dies, and he's like, do none of you remember his name? He was just with us, like. Milton or Winston or something.
Milton. It's Milton.
Yeah, Milton.
Yeah,
he's like Milton's been with us the whole time.
Yeah,
he's
like, who's Milton?
And everyone's like, who the hell is it? Wait, he's still with us?
Because you could like see him running around, and I'm like, why is this guy running around? Oh, they just kill him. Oh,
there's just some emotional beats where like some of these characters are just like they have so much heart, and you're like, dang it. Same with King Shark. I mean, the whole time King Shark's character is, I just want connection.
Yeah.
So I
have no friends. I'm like, oh, dude, same.
I feel that. And then the one time he finally makes friends, they try eating him.
I know,
the jellyfish and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Dude.
King tries to blend in with the
heroes with the mustache.
He's just like a 8-foot shark. He's like trying to do a mustache with his finger. It's like, this guy's the best. Like they literally. But the one thing I will say is like, to me, if you didn't watch Guardians of the Galaxy and you went into this movie, you're like, holy crap, the heart, all this stuff, so original. To me, sometimes I did be like, oh yeah, King Shark, you're Groot.
Yeah, see, I didn't see that. So,
but I shouldn't try to compare them.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where like he's so good at those things that it's such a breath of fresh air for DCU to have this much like character development and heart.
I didn't see that because I saw the darkness or the seriousness of this tone, and there's just such a different tone from Guardians of the Galaxy. Where it's just like, haha, we're fun and we're gonna have a great time, and like there's no real like deep depth moments.
I get what you're saying.
Like this was just like, and like dead. All these people just start dying, and it's like, I feel like, the basic squad, I guess you could compare them to Guardians, but I feel like Guardians never felt like villains to me. And these were like, oh, these are bad people. Guardians felt like, they're like, oh, they're fine. They're like, whatever.
Okay, fair. I mean, they are all criminals that are wanted and literally end up in a jail together and have to break out. But
yeah, but I never felt like, I don't know.
I mean, he's not a great thief, but he is a thief.
Yeah.
You know, like just stuff like that. I'm with you. I understand they're not like killing men, women, and children like a Peacemaker is. Who's like, I'll do anything for the name of peace.
I felt like this Suicide Squad team was more competent.
That's fair.
But that's the charm of Guardians, where they're kind of like
Guardians
like,
are.
we don't really know what we're doing.
That's fair.
That's the charm.
Yeah.
And it's like, it felt different.
There's some of that, though, in Suicide Squad. I mean, like, there are some characters where you're like, wait, why is Polka Dot Man here? And he's like, well, this one thing I can do.
Yeah.
And it just, like, pops off.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, I hear what you're saying. I think, had it not been James Gunn and this happened, I wouldn't have compared him to Groot. It's just, like, just knowing that you already did this successfully twice.
Yeah.
And you did have beats of, like, who's the most evil, like, person you can think of in the Guardians universe? And it's like, Yondu was pretty messed up, and that guy ends up becoming, like, a father figure to Peter Quill by the end of it, and it has this, like, really nice moment. Stuff like that, where I'm just like, he gets it, and he does a good job. And I just think that the only reason that gets negative points in my eyes was I've already seen this done somewhat, and so it does feel a little copy and paste at points, but he still had to, it was still a whole different hand, and there's not too much copy and paste, I don't think. I think King Shark still has enough interesting, unique beats. He's like Drax and Groot.
Yeah.
He's a combo of characters. He's not just, oh, that's Groot, I've done this before.
Yeah.
Like,
he's enough divergent. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have, like, your Bloodsport, who is Rocket and Star-Lord. Like, he's like a combo of some of these characters. So it's not a carbon copy.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. There's parts of this that I even maybe enjoyed more than Guardians, just because of, like, Guardians leans so much onto the comedy aspect.
Yep.
And this is a little bit more, not necessarily the violence, but more of the seriousness of this movie. And, like, the way that, like, I just enjoyed that I didn't know who was going to die. I was really...
no one's safe.
Yeah, no one was safe, and
That's
really
fair.
like... And that no one's coming back.
Marvel's very safe.
Yeah, Marvel's very safe. And,
especially
like,
in the
obviously,
first movie.
Yeah, obviously I know that these people are going to live because they're, like, signed 6 contracts. And it's just like, here it's like... I mean, really, Harley Quinn's the only one I know that was going to live.
Yeah.
And then after Jai Courtney died, I'm like, well, maybe not. I don't know.
That's true.
But Harley Quinn's, like, their moneymaker, so... But, yeah.
That's fair. There's only a few that you knew were like, but Boomerang was one. Rick Flag, still surprising. I mean, like, to me, he was still expendable. So that wasn't that surprising to me, but there wasn't anybody. I mean, I knew Peacemaker had a TV show, but I didn't know if it was a prequel.
Yeah.
They're going to do an HBO show with him.
But there was cost to this movie.
100%.
And, like, a lot of Marvel movies don't feel like there's a cost to them. A lot of mainstream movies just don't feel like there's a cost to them. And it's like, this felt like the team sacrificed.
A lot of depth.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
One of the scenes I really thought was really funny, or, like, almost terrifying, was they go try and save Rick Flag. Initially, the new team rolls up to the beach and they camp out.
Yes.
And then they, like,
kill a bunch of innocent
people. And I'm like, oh, that was such a good twist.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh yeah, it's just these, like, random, whatever. And, like, they would do that because they're just like, we don't care.
And then they were like, you killed all of our people, but we have a common enemy, so I guess we'll help you.
I guess that was kind of a minor subplot. What did you think of, like, the resistance?
I think that was some subtle commentary on, like, as long as the mission gets done at all costs. Kind of like a weird, like,
we don't
there
care.
should have been maybe some consequences, or, like, something should have happened, but the movie just couldn't afford to go that long.
Yeah.
And it kind of felt a little like, I don't know.
They kind of throw it in at the end when they, like, actually, like, take over, which is good. Yeah, like, powder the people. Let's go. But, like, true. I think it was, like, because of the change in powers, they had to.
Fair.
Because you don't know if they're going to release the secrets of this project or something.
Right.
So, like, that's just kind of like an undertone. And
yeah,
I think there is this kind of, I almost might just be for the joke of they kill this camp of people and they're just like, wait, they're actually not.
Well, and don't get me wrong. I mean, the whole, like, John Cena, Idris Elba, who's got the
bigger gun.
Yeah, who's got the bigger gun.
That was a great scene.
They were just,
like, slaughtering
murking as many people as they could. Yeah. It was very like Gimli and Legolas if both of them were Legolas.
Just terrible people. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, or something like that.
Or both of them, like, could not miss.
Yeah. It was crazy. And they all had, like, unique, like, at one point Peacemaker just gets a blow dart out and starts merchandise. It's like, dude, are you kidding me?
It was great. It was a great scene, and then like to have it at the end where it's like, how did my people not tell me where you're here? And like,
Also, gotta say, Bloodsport's just whole thing.
Stick, awesome.
Like, woof.
Like, woof good, woof bad. Okay.
Woof good.
Woof.
Like, holy cow, dude.
A nick out of 10.
The whole, like, here's a pistol. And then
like
if I just, wait,
it.
it's a bazooka now.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, it's a shotgun.
So
Here's
cool.
Like,
it's so cool.
It's like Iron Man nanotech.
Mm-hmm.
If it got into the hands of an assassin that just wanted to make dope-ass guns with them.
And I like that there's a manual element to it as well, where, like, he runs out.
He does.
There's everything
limited.
has, like, a thing to it, but, like, it's just nanotech and that, like, it slaps on, where, like, sometimes Stark is like, it runs out in Infinity War, but it feels like he's almost has an unlimited supply of whatever he needs.
Well, and I don't know the history of Bloodsport, but from what I've heard or listened to, my understanding is that he has some sort of like a little bit of like a mini teleportation power that basically goes like, my arsenal back home has all this stuff.
Right.
And he goes, bloop, pistol.
Yes, that is true.
Like, bazooka.
Yeah.
And so this was a play on that of like, what if I could just build my arsenal instead of teleport it?
Fun idea. I like that.
Because I do think in the comics, it's like he does kind of have the endless armory. He can just keep pulling it from random buildings or wherever he hid his stash. I like this version better because it does feel very like grounded, but also like as peak cracked an assassin could be. That's not like a superpower.
Yeah.
But it is a superpower.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's very like, this is Batman if he's bad.
Yeah, Batman if he had guns and he wanted to,
If he was just,
Even in this universe, he does have guns, but
he does. Well, but if he was just straight up like, I need to snipe people, like Superman. Like they even drop a beat where it's like, you shot him with a kryptonite bullet.
Crazy, super cool.
Yeah. Need that story.
Yeah.
Would love to see that movie.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's fine. It probably made him more powerful because Superman is like, I forgot to
now
tell
I'm
you,
immune.
I actually thrive on kryptonite because I'm Superman. It's like, worst character ever. Anyway, moving on past my issues with Superman.
Let's see.
What are your thoughts on Starro?
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I thought it was weirdly cute and terrifying.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, a giant star, and then like sucker fish, and like I'm gonna rip off your face. But also like he's a giant monster, kind of colorful and fluffy, but also just like literally like burning people. It's like,
yeah. It made me think that James Gunn really liked that Rick and Morty episode where they crash land on that planet where those things just suck on your face, and then you like hail Gazorpazorp or whatever.
Gazorpazorp, the flame bomb into the flame bomb.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Great point.
It wasn't like a copy. That's what it made me think of when those starfish like start sucking on everybody's face. It also made me think of xenomorphs a little bit, but
also like
the mind control thing.
Yeah, and also like I liked the difference of like, and also like the body horror to it of like, these aren't people we're gonna get back. Like they're dead.
Once they're done, they're done.
Yeah, and it's just like, like a previous comic, like with Starro when he was like first introduced, like that idea, and like, the people, thanks Superman for saving us, and like, all the people are back and nothing really happened, and it's just like, this is like, oh no, like everyone's dead. As soon as you get on there, you're done.
Right, and that's what made that scene where he finally like breaks out and then summons like 1,000 of those things, like one of the scariest scenes.
And just like
in
falling down on you.
Well, and it's like gentle.
Yeah.
It's like they all come out and it's just kind of like, it's just like wind, and there's like a calm before the storm, and you're like, oh, this isn't that bad, and then you you're just like, oh no, what's happening? And no one's safe.
Yeah.
That was scary.
I thought Starro was really good. Didn't care too much for the Thinker. I liked Peter Capaldi's performance, but I'm like,
felt like a casting thing to make him seem more important, but he really wasn't.
I didn't really care. You could have probably done the movie without him. Honestly.
Well, yeah, I just don't think the character was written in a with as much importance as maybe the casting made it seem like it should be.
He has a great performance, and he did great, but it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't really get his whole shtick.
Right. But, I mean, there's a lot of people who got casted in this movie that only had a line or two.
I know, but like...
You know, but...
I felt more connected to like TDK than like the stinker guy. Was just like, or I got
but I think
more
our
of his
personality
idea.
too is just like that was so crazy that I'm sarcastically and seriously in love with this character.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
He had
like,
a cooler
there's
moment than like
of him.
Yeah.
Whereas the thinker, there's nothing like redeemable or
he
funny.
has more screen time, but because the other character had less screen time, they have
and
to
his
make
arms
him
pop
memorable.
off and he slaps guys. I mean, it's like
literally popping
it's one
off.
of those parts where
still
you're just like,
off.
this is the worst superpower in the world that I kind of want to have it.
Dude, you could like just grab food from your fridge.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a real practical like power for like household use.
Yeah.
Not really that great anywhere else.
Yeah.
Even in household use, what's the point? Because if you can't see where your arms are at, you can't do anything with them.
That's true. Well, there's been plenty of times where there's a remote on the counter.
Yeah, it's perfect for like getting a beer.
Yeah.
Or getting yeah, it's like...
Yeah.
I just love, too, that he still has to swing his body as though he has the arms on. So there's just this stump where he's like, ha, ha, and then you just see these hands going like a mile away. It's just like, this is ridiculous.
You could turn the light out of the room you're in.
That's true. But like I said, it's more of a convenient superpower.
So TDKOP, right, is what we're saying? He's just so OP.
He's OP
He's cracked.
On home turf.
home turf.
When he's away on a mission, he's a liability.
Literally any other place.
He is worse than just having a human being on your team. Just a normal human being.
Put guns in his hands.
Yeah, that could work.
And you could like pop, and
it also just made it worse too. That was Nathan Fillion, because it's just like, my dude, I love that guy, and I just feel like he doesn't get the respect he did. He's not a big movie guy. He's very much like television, which television is not a knock, but he's just very like procedural and like just been stuck in that. He's in one of my favorite TV shows, Castle, and he's great. I just wish he could get the like. He needs to be in one of these movies where he could be a Idris Elba, the main guy of the Suicide Squad. Yeah, he just maybe he just doesn't want to. But I've always been like, why aren't you? I feel like you're so good.
He's charismatic.
But maybe he's just the guy who's like, it's just my day job, and I'm good with just making my paycheck and getting out.
Hey,
God bless him.
Yeah,
because if that's what it is, then great. Because that's how some people should.
He's doing a great job.
Yeah, you don't need to do the whole method thing and like just make your million and get out.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah,
dang.
Fair enough. A life.
Mm-hmm. That would be wild.
What do you think of just Harley Quinn? Like her kind of like she gets her own like kind of private side quest in this movie.
One regret I have is I haven't seen Birds of Prey, and I am going to watch that.
It's solid.
I do want to give her due because she is great.
Yeah.
Margot Robbie is amazing as this character.
I'm not the biggest Harley Quinn fan.
Agreed.
But I am a fan of her as Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
And so I'm a fan of her kind of in this side role like this.
Yep.
And as opposed to like Harley Quinn or Birds of Prey. I didn't like her inner monologuing. I'm not a big inner monologue guy anyways. So it felt like, oh, okay, this is like very gimmicky and kind of like Deadpool-y and stuff like that. But I think she was really good in this. And I enjoyed the scene where she's like captured and like apparently like she did that thing with the stunts feet and like grabbed the key and like James Gunn was like, yeah, she just kind of like did that. And, like
dope.
Wild.
Yeah, she's crazy.
Cool. Yeah.
So like for me, she's one of those that got casted, and even though I don't care too much about the character, it's like, man, I can't really picture anybody else doing it.
She's great.
It's kind of like Loki to me. Like Loki was never a guy that I'm like, man, they better get this guy right because I really care about this guy. But now that I have Tom Hiddleston, I'm like, shit. I don't know if there's anybody better. Yeah. I mean, I know there's variants now and all that jazz, but like he's the OG Loki. Great. So for her, I'm like, good for you. This is amazing. Her side quest where she gets to be with the president or whatever, the acting president, And
just straight up.
Oh, this is amazing. I love that scene so much because there's multiple layers to it, but it's so she makes love to this guy because she finally found a good guy.
Yeah.
Finds out there's some red flags to him because he's going to use Starro to basically control the population and use it against bad people, even if it's against the bad people who like are bad. Mm-hmm. It's still immoral in her eyes. So she sees a red flag, and now she's learned from her mistakes because there's Jared Leto Joker in her past. So she just straight up murks the guy. But then she has like this beautiful like, and I really wanted to like you, and your penis is great. Like there's this whole like sketch. It's just like, wait, what is happening? It's perfectly Suicide Squad.
Yeah, and it was like crazy to have like the Joker call where it's like, she like grew as a character, which is like it was great to see. I've learned from her mistakes, and that she said R.I.P. to that beautiful monster between your legs. It's just like, good Lord, what is happening in this movie? But it was just too iconic not to mention. It's hard to not just get a giggle out of that. That was just absolutely iconic. It's like she's the only person who can. No, she's the only one who can pull that off.
It's not like Rick Flag can say something like that and be like, "Oh, that he killed it."
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's just so unexpected. Everything about this movie is unexpected. So when it does hit, it hits so great because you're just like, I didn't see that coming, and it's perfect.
Speaking of unexpected, what about her escape? I like that she escaped and like found them and was like,
hey, what are you looking for?
What's going on? And like, what about the flower scene? That was a beautiful scene.
Flower scene was dope. And that's when, that to me was like the nail in the coffin of this is no longer the Snyderverse.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
As soon as they did that, I was like, all right, you got your Justice League. It's time to be done.
Yeah.
This movie is going to be colorful.
Yeah.
And perhaps some of the future is looking bright because James Gunn is now hired to like do
he's
more
on our
shit.
Team.
So
I think you can have both. I think you can have this has a good theme of like some dark tones but fun.
Sure.
But also if you want to have like a Justice League and a darker, just make one. Just do the Batman. You're doing the Batman.
They're clearly not going to do Snyder.
No, he's done
anymore. And so I don't think there's going to be this like, I felt like everyone had to play by that rule for a while.
Yeah.
And now it's done. There will now be funny, stupid, colorful movies, and then there will be your serious, epic, godlike, dark movies. And then you'll have your underwater Jason Momoa abs Aquaman movies, and then you'll probably still have another Wonder Woman, I would guess.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch 84 because I just heard I don't need to.
That's fine.
But I am going to watch Birds of Prey.
Yes, you should.
Because I feel like I owe Harley Quinn.
Birds of Prey is far better than 84.
Sure. And my boy Ewan McGregor, I guess, is the bad guy.
Yeah, he's great.
I'm in for it.
Go. Yeah, I agree. I like the direction that DC is going, where it's like they have a few solid hits under their belt that are universally accepted as solid.
Yeah.
And
where would you place this in the DCEU?
I would go Wonder Woman's favorite.
Wonder Woman's your favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
First Wonder Woman, yeah.
Continue.
OG.
Okay.
Wonder Woman, then probably, I don't know, either this or Shazam. Shazam.
Okay. I would definitely watch this before I watched the other two you mentioned first.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this your favorite DCEU?
It might be.
Hey, it's not a bad choice.
Aquaman?
I know you like Aquaman.
Aquaman was a lot better than I think it got credit for.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it's a toss-up between that and Wonder Woman for me, of just solo hero movie. Shazam didn't quite do it for me. For some reason, a lot of people like that a lot more than I did. I don't know. Maybe it's because I watched like Chuck and just can't take Zachary Levi as like a cocky guy.
Yeah.
Seriously? I don't know. There's just something about it that I was just like, I don't know. I guess it makes sense because he's like a young kid who has the powers of Superman.
Yeah. Also, I think, is Zachary Levi kind of a jerk? I've heard.
In real life?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't know. Once you get abs,
yeah, I feel like
it's tricky.
I feel that's why I don't get abs. Is by
yeah. Once you get abs, and you look like a superhero, I'm really scared of what happens next.
Yeah.
Because now you feel like you have options or something, and you become
You're just like, yeah. Well, talk to me in a year when I get abs.
Yeah, talk to you, and you're like, I'm done with the podcast. I got abs.
I have abs now. The abs sell themselves.
No.
Welcome to my podcast, not Abs United.
For some reason, I just didn't. I like the family aspect of it for sure, but that was the one where like the first 2/3 of the movie didn't do it for me, and the last third did.
Really? Okay.
It's the opposite of the other movies, but
yeah, maybe say it. It's your favorite DCU movie.
I think this may be my favorite DCU.
It's better than every Marvel.
Well, but I do like the Snyder Cut. It was such a special experience.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like it's real. Like, it's real. I can go watch it. It's just none of the things that I loved about it will ever come to fruition.
Yeah.
So it almost has to take a back seat to being like my favorite because
honestly forgot.
It's all of a what if.
Yeah. It's still like it improved on Justice League, but it's still like the same qualms I had with the major qualms of like I don't think Superman should have come back in this Justice League, or it shouldn't. It should.
No.
It should have been year, but
but the what if, the nightmare sequence alone for me was my favorite thing that the DCU has ever done.
Nice.
Because they finally realized that they're so dark that they can't be funny unless you're doing the Suicide Squad where you're so dark and stupid.
It is funny.
It's
murder,
so dark that it's stupid and funny. Superman will never be funny.
Yeah.
No matter who you cast, what kind of story you're writing, Superman's not funny. Batman hardly is funny.
Yeah.
Maybe could be sarcastic, shouldn't be that funny.
Yeah.
Flash, you can kind of get away with some funny stuff.
Yeah.
Aquaman, absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Could be funny. But, like, your two main characters are dark.
Yeah.
Or Jesus.
Yeah.
And so, like, none of that is comical. All that is epic, godlike stuff. And they finally leaned into it with, what if Jesus got pissed off and could fly and kill all of you?
Yeah. Oh,
that's the only interesting way you can take Superman.
Well, that's why Injustice is my favorite comic series. It's so good. It's just like
Superman is great, but he is greater as a villain.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah.
What happens when you can't kill? Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. So for me, it's so up there, but because I know it's not going to come to fruition, there's not going to be an actual nightmare sequence.
Hey, maybe in 15 years. If we yell loud enough on Twitter,
10 people will come to our podcast.
I meant not us. I meant general. If you yell loud enough on Twitter,
if we get enough people to,
Nate's got our back.
Yeah, Nate Dub, baby. I don't know, but yeah. So I would say this is my favorite rewatchable. I'm not gonna watch the Snyder Cut over and over again. Snyder Cut's second. Okay. Wonder Woman's third.
Okay.
And then the scenes where Jason Momoa takes off his shirt
and
are like over third, in between second and third. My man.
I'm surprised that's not like your like ringtone for like waking up or like going to sleep. Like just my man.
Yeah. What I really need is a poster of
Nick,
Jason Momoa, and Polka Dot Man. That's what I need.
Like high-fiving together. And they're saying, and like the slap doesn't make a clap sound, it makes a my man sound.
My man. That's what I need. That's what I really need. But yeah, folks, you can't go wrong watching Suicide Squad. The only thing that would be wrong is if you don't like gore in a movie.
It is pretty gory.
It's over the top. It's not
as gore as it could be.
It's over the top. But, man, you care about characters that you don't think you'd give
a rat.
A rat. Literally named Sebastian. God bless him.
Literally like one of my favorite. I was like, oh, rat.
Sebastian the Rat.
Sebastian the Rat. I loved it.
Taika Waititi's in it.
Yeah. I love
the two best things about Marvel Cinematic Universe are in these movies.
I think the character, like, just design and depth, every character is amazing. Every character is enjoyable. I just want to give a shout out to Ratcatcher and her scene where she like saves the day, where like, and her flashback with Taika Waititi is powerful. it's heartfelt. It's like if the rat can be loved, then so can we all. And like the music,
if they can
and
serve
the
a purpose, no matter how lowly they are, then there must be purpose for us all. It's like,
I'm like shouting,
GG's.
like GG's in chat, come at us. And she's like, I don't know why, like the her holding up the emblem, like basically like reaching to the sky with it was like very like powerful, of like almost like a prayer, basically to like stop this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, that scene of her using and saving the day was powerful.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
and I think that's what made this, like, these characters, there's just so many different tools to this tool belt that you're like, how are you going to beat this thing?
Mm-hmm.
And then they do it in
With
such a unique way.
rats.
And then you have Bloodsport's redemption of like, I'm going to get you all home. I do want to be a father now. Like, I do want to be involved. Peacemaker just doubling down on like, what does peace actually mean? In his mind, it means quiet. If that means death, so be it. You're like, shit. I thought peace was supposed to be like unity. He's like, or just killing the other party. That would also make peace.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit, dude. He's like
peace by any means necessary.
He's like Cap without
a moral compass.
Without a moral compass. Who thinks he has a moral compass?
Yeah.
Crazy concept. It wasn't a big middle finger to Captain America though, but it was like a play on that for sure.
Yeah, he had the red, white, and blue, and like,
what a stupid outfit. Oh, absolutely
the part
amazing.
Where he's like, where like King Shark almost eats Ratcatcher. And like John Cena just comes up and he's just in his underwear for like a solid like 5 minutes of the movie.
Whitey tighties. He's like, that's racist.
What's up? I'm like, hello. And it's just like he's just there,
jacked out of his mind.
It's just like, it's so stupid. It's so good. I love this movie.
There was even a beautiful line, and I'm sorry to be vulgar again, but some of these are just absolutely absurd.
Bangers.
He wants peace so bad that if
the
beach was made, they're like,
I don't know. If this beach was full of dicks, I would suck eat every or like eat a bag of dicks or something. It's like if there was a dick on every single square foot of this beach.
And they're like, why would a villain ever do? He's like, who knows why madmen do what they do? And you're just like, wait, you think that a madman would actually just litter a beach full of penises? He's like, yep. And I was like, ugh. There's just so much unexpected stuff in this movie. It's just,
this movie's great. 8.5. I'm throwing it up there.
It really was good. I'm gonna watch it again, but I do think it's up there. It's probably 8.5 for me as well.
Yeah,
we're seeing eye to eye. We're clicking. No one's crapping on this movie.
No, I've heard universally good things from people.
I do too. I think they said financially it's not a success, but it's COVID, so nothing's a success. And HBO kind of makes it weird because it's technically the second most watched day one movie of anything they've done.
They've done arguably a cool thing with Snyder Cut, but like, what else do they have?
Mortal Kombat.
Oh.
Get over here. Yeah, I mean, that's true. That statistic could mean so many different things. But I do kind of want to, like, I guess end it with, like, the James Gunn quote of, these things stay alive because of what you have on your television screens. They don't stay alive because of the going to the theater.
Yeah.
I've gone to so many movies that I'll never watch again. So they got my first money, but they never got my, like, second money.
Oh, yeah, I'm buying this movie.
And granted, like, the second doesn't happen as often anymore because now the streaming has really taken, and so like it's not a like policy that I'm like thinking that everyone has to do, but I do truly want people to understand, like, by not buying movies, you are affecting what movies you'll see.
Yeah,
like they used to be able to rely on like you buying a physical copy of this movie, and now that they don't, you're only going to get blockbusters or really, really well-produced $10 million movies.
Yeah.
You're never going to get anything like risky.
Like an Annihilation. To bring back, like an $80 million movie that's
There's
a weird
very
sci-fi.
few projects like that will have a lot of like production behind it because they can't make up their money.
Yeah.
because there's just too much competition. By week 1, they've got to make 80% of their money back or whatever. I don't know the statistic, but they've got to make like pretty much all of it back so that they can make some money, hopefully, in the next following weeks. And with these streaming services, and don't get me wrong, if HBO is going to provide it, I'm going to watch it. I understand that I'm like kind of contradicting myself, but I know,
like, because we both saw it.
I'll still buy this movie.
Buying this. Yeah, I'm 100%
and they're going to get my $30 that is permanent, and I'll have this disc now. But I think people also need to understand that like some of these movies don't exist unless people like buy them, because the DVD used to be such a like
huge deal,
important thing, and now that it's not, it's either going straight to streaming, or the only movies that can actually make it to theaters are
Marvel, very
particular types of movies. So anyway, if you'd like to see a more diversified portfolio at the theater, buy movies.
Hey, maybe we'll go see this movie in theaters.
Just to give it our 2 cents.
Our $5 each.
Our $5.02.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Taxes. Well,
do you have any closing thoughts?
This movie kind of floored me.
Popped off?
It popped off. It's cracked. It's much like Nathan Fillion's arms. It popped off.
Yeah.
It shocked me, really, which is how good it was. I was expecting it to be fine.
Yeah.
To have fun, but I didn't think I would have this much fun with it.
Yeah, this was one of those movies that I was like, that's coming out in August, right? Meh, we'll figure it out. And then you sent me a text, you're like, we doing this? I was like, well, I already watched it, might as well.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those, it's weird that it's a sleeper because it's a superhero film, but I do feel like in some ways it is kind of a sleeper. Yeah. Like, you're probably underselling it.
I think this might get a cult following.
I think so.
Yeah. Bored.
Exactly. So
I just love King Shark so much.
King Shark, God bless him.
My king.
There's really not a bad character. I'm trying to think of a character that I was like, I mean, Amanda Waller's the villain, and she had very little screen time, but even her people, like...
Yeah, her little subordinates were good when they knocked her out. I think Thinker is probably the worst character, just like screen time wise of like, I didn't really care for him too much. But it's tough
because with a movie where 99% of your characters are written well, one of them's going to stick out when they're not.
Yeah.
But like, I think of how many other characters in movies are written worse than this guy.
But also there's 30 characters.
Yeah. So I mean, like, as an ensemble, I think this is overall
and everyone gets their moment. Everyone gets their like.
Absolutely.
It's crazy how much, like, you could get like, let's say The Hobbit. I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, and I can barely like know who the dwarves were, and it's like in 2 hours I got 30 of these characters who were like, I knew some of them.
One of them's literally the second version. There's called Ratcatcher 2, and we're like, hey, I know exactly this person.
Yeah, so I think it was just like, it was shocking. It was so well done. It was just so well done.
Yeah, I was surprised that I liked it as much as I did.
Same.
Like, I was almost like, I need to probably not like this as much, just to make sure that I'm like, right.
I'm glad I hyped you up. 8.5.
Yeah. No, I was like legitimately.
That's probably my top 10 of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, my top 10 is probably going to be like, for the first 5, it'll be Dune.
Dune. The first 30 minutes of Dune. The second 30 minutes of Dune.
Yep.
Actually, the fourth 30 minutes of Dune might be the second.
Depends on if Jason Momoa has a bunch of screen time and if he's shirtless.
I was going to say, how much screen time does he have with his shirt off?
Hey, does he say "my man" in this?
My like, Dune, my word.
Like, wait, is he Aquaman
spice.
And
like, he gets like a trident for like half a second,
and
then it cuts away and cuts back. It's got the trident's like gone. Like, wait, were you
holding a trident earlier?
Duncan, Idaho, my man,
my man. I love it.
Timothy Chalamet. I mean, whatever your character's name is.
Yeah, that's an interesting combo too, because they both are great actors, but one is just jacked and the other is just like the really skinny
person in the world.
But yeah, pleasantly surprised to the point where I was like, just for like my hate for like the DCEU so far, I've been like, I probably need to not like this.
All right, well,
and I was like, never mind. It was great.
I'm glad this movie changed you, because the DCU has some flaws, but I think there's good things to it.
Yes, I agree that it there are good things. We enjoyed the Snyder Cut, both of us.
Well, I think because we watched it together too, and like it was an
well,
experience.
yeah, but like
It
I
was
sat down
genuinely
for a
good.
4-hour movie and I actually enjoyed it.
It felt
It was
fast,
great.
yeah.
It was very fast. So yeah, I think the future's bright if they keep taking suggestions from people who aren't the ones who have been primarily taking the head of most of these projects.
Right. Yeah.
So I think they need to do a couple more of these, like, hey, pick what you want.
Batman.
We need passion, not content.
Yeah.
I think
that's where they're going.
And that seems like by
I mean,
doing
even
this,
with Joker, let's do Joker. Boom. Hey,
Joker's weird because does it count as the DC?
Yeah. I would. Oh man, that's tough.
Because to me, it feels
It's
completely
not, yeah.
separate, but I think it technically falls into it. I have high hopes for the new Batman movie.
Looks so good.
I
so
have
good.
very high hopes. Trying to set my expectations low, but I'm like hoping that this hits.
Would you, not to throw you on the spot, but would you say Joker is better than Suicide Squad or not?
Is the Joker better than the Suicide
I know
Squad?
it's like,
I mean, performance-wise, I don't think you can say that anybody in the Suicide Squad did better than Joaquin Phoenix did as the Joker.
so it's one performance versus multiple.
Correct. I'm gonna rewatch the Suicide Squad before I rewatch Joker, and in that regard, it probably gets the edge, because for me,
It's more enjoyable.
like, there's been multiple times where I've been like, I could add Joker to my collection, and I just haven't yet, because I just don't know if I'm gonna rewatch it that often. And it's great. It's a great performance, but I almost feel like, was it great because it was just that one-time perfect?
Watch it once and you're done.
And then do I need to not revisit this ever again?
That's
I don't
fair.
know.
That's fair.
Whereas the Suicide Squad, I'm coming back. And so rewatchability to me
It's a big
is
key.
a little bit more significant than maybe your average person.
I would say I liked Suicide Squad more, just because of like enjoyment, and really it's like I felt like Joker was shock value and experience of watching it for the first time, and like I don't know. I agree. I would watch Suicide Squad far more than the Joker, just because it is such a more harrowing movie to watch. I'm not sitting down on a Thursday night and being like, oh, what am I going to watch for fun tonight?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that's hard because there's some great movies that are amazing that you're also just not going to watch casually. But if I'm like, hey, you want to ever like study like how to do a character well? Look no further than
Suicide Squad 2016.
Sweet, yeah. And so if I was to ever to be like, have you seen this performance of Joker? Okay, we're watching Joker.
I agree. That's fair.
But I think if I'm like, you want to watch something stupid and hilarious, but also like good, let's watch this.
Yeah, fair.
So there you have it.
There you go.
I think that's the Suicide Squad for you.
That's it. The Suicide Squad.
Do you think anybody's listened to any reviews on the Suicide Squad yet?
Maybe not yet. I think it's quick enough. It came out
we're
Friday?
within a week, so
Not our fastest review, but our within the weekend. Black Widow was our fastest review. Literally hot off the
true.
presses.
That was really hot off
tea.
the press. Yes.
Was that the episode that hot tea was invented? I don't know.
I think so.
Because you were like hot. I said hot off the presses, and you're like, hey, hottie.
Yes. Hot tea. Yes. I think that was what it was for. But
well, you may listen to many episodes about the Suicide Squad, but you will not listen to an episode where two men are in a basement and there's a candle between them lit, and it's very, very passionate and it smells nice and fragrant. Also known as Not As United.
Perfect. All right, we'll see you guys.
Bye.
Bye. Boom.
You've just listened to Not Us United. You can find us under Not Us United on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Please leave us a review and consider subscribing to our podcast. You can reach out for future podcast topic suggestions at notusunitedpod@gmail.com.